Greetings, Skill Incarnate bringing you all the latest indie gaming goodness. Welcome back as we check out another indie game. This time we're looking at Into the Flames, developed by Fully Involved Studios and published by my friends at Playway SA. Now, when I heard that Playway SA were making a new simulation game using people with actual experience in the firefighting industry, I was really keen to try this out, as I'm a big fan of their games. But more importantly, I have to be honest, this game has several issues. It has clipping issues, it has performance issues, and most importantly, it is a game that is very technical and is missing a lot of the support and documentation that you need for a game of this type. I'm going to show you the first part of the game, and hopefully highlight some of the issues so that Playway can go and make this game what it should be. Let's have a look at Into the Flames. Each game of Into the Flames begins in your trusty fire station. As you can see, we have a selection of vehicles here that have been lovingly created with some really nice detail. The station itself also has a really realistic look, and I really wish they had extended this detail to the rest of the city, because as you're going to see, the city itself is a bit bare. You have a selection of vehicles and tools to choose from, and you'll need to attend a variety of emergency events across the city. So we're going to go for a bit of a drive. As you can see, the city, it feels a bit bare. There's plenty of cars, but there's really no people in the city. Not a lot of traffic, and it feels kind of like an empty sandbox. And this is a common problem with open world games, but it's really noticeable with this game where you've got a really big city and nothing really happening. Now the other problem is sound. As you can hear, the vehicles have sound. There is no sound at all. No ambient noise in the city. There's no sounds of birds in the country. No sounds when you're near the water. It's a literal silence most of the time. And the silence is deafening. Now the first thing we're going to want to do before things start to kick off is to use the water system to get a pump, and hopefully to try and fill this vehicle, which is going to be a bit of a problem because the water system in this game is one of the most confusing and frustrating I've ever seen. So you're supposed to walk up to a fire hydrant, get a supply line, which is basically the way that you supply your water tank with water, and then you get a tool, which is your hydrant wrench. And I know this because I looked at the developer's YouTube video after trying to figure this all myself. Now you can see that we've got pressure. The water is coming out of the hydrant. It is supposed to be filling up this tank, which we're going to go and check the tank settings now, which should be somewhere here. Just want to hose connections. Okay. So when we look at the pump panel, we can see here that the tank to pump, we can open that. Tank fill, we can open that. And this is supposed to be now filling the tank. You can hear the sound of the pump, and normally you would assume this is now filling up the tank. We've got it open. Just going to jam this up as much as I can. Now, you would assume that this tank is now being filled up. And then now, in theory, we should be able to use a discharge hose Oop, what I want to do is get rid of this. Okay, so now this truck should be filled up. I should be able to go to the pump panel, and I should be able to grab a hose. Now, small hose gives you the ability to use it directly, and a large hose lets you supply another vehicle. So I'm going to go small discharge 3. Nothing yet, so let's just make sure that is open. And this is the problem in the game. I found it's very, very hard to figure out how to... Discharge 3 is now open. Oh, there, finally we got it. Okay, so we'll let that fill up a little bit, but it's a very, very confusing and frustrating system. And it can be... The process for transferring water between trucks is even more complicated. So let's go put this hose back. Let's just put all the hoses back, I think, and we'll go to our first emergency. Okay, so now we'll head off in the direction of our first emergency. Now we've filled the truck up with a bit of water, but it took me several tries to figure out how to do it, because the game isn't very obvious with any of the tutorials. They're very, very vague. And I think that's kind of... This game, I like the fact that it's very technical, but it really needs a better tutorial. The game has a tutorial, and all it is basically a bunch of slabs of text. They give you the bare minimum you need to understand it, and a lot of the themes of people playing this game on YouTube, yeah, including myself, is one of confusion. This game, the tutorial system in the game is unfinished. Now, I would have really liked to have some lights on this, like floodlights, but you've only really got the sirens and the flashing lights. Really would like some high-powered beams to see what I'm doing at night. We've got another emergency over to our right. There are a number of different emergencies in the game that you have to attend, and these include your medical emergencies, all the way through to people being trapped in cars, house fires, hazardous chemical spills, and I like the range of different emergencies that can happen. And that part of the game they got really well. So, we've got someone who is hurt. A medical emergency. Let's have a bit of a look. And what I can do is grab a medical bag out of the equipment locker. Medical bag. Let's go see our friend. Okay, so what we can do is assess the patient. Normal breathing. Okay, and as we can see, general patient care. The game, some of the areas in the game do have a lot of useful information here. So we can see no injuries found. Difficulty breathing, normal breathing, so that's fine. Cardiac problems, any patient with chest pain, no. Normal respirations per minute. Overdose, no. So we can see here that he doesn't have low. Oop, let's clear the. Go. Now, I probably didn't need to force transport him, but the fact that he didn't have any sort of illnesses, no chest pain, no obvious signs of injury, we can just get him into an ambulance and get him on his way. So let's go head to the next emergency. And it really is the lack of sound and the empty city. It really does make you feel like you're in a ghost town, and it does kind of wreck the immersion. It's not something that's common to this game, but it's something that I think at least a bit of basic sound would have really, really helped. As would the ability to move this map around. You can't move the map, and that means that most of the time, let's force a call. Okay. Now, most of the civilian cars completely, you can just smash into them, knock them around. There's no penalty, no damage to the vehicle, as you can see. Most cars, even if you flip them over, will just right themselves and go on their merry way. And the game has, I mean, the process of fighting fires and attending emergencies is really realistic. It's just a shame that the game world doesn't seem to have that level of realism as well. And I say this because I know that Playway can do this. Some of their other, now they've actually got some other titles that I'll be reviewing in future that are very, very focused on realism. And that's why I was a little disappointed in this. It feels unfinished. It feels like it needs a bit more work. A lot more work. So we're going to head to our next emergency, and hopefully it's going to be I believe it will be a fire. At least we managed to get the pumps on this vehicle full. There are some hydrants out here, so even if we do happen to run our tanks dry, we can refill. Now, one thing I wanted to mention too, this game is multiplayer, and it's the biggest appeal of this game. Everyone was, including myself, very, very excited about the multiplayer. The problem is it's region locked. So if I want to play with my good buddy Kel and Sushi and the boys, I can't do it because the game's region locked. It's a bit of a shame. It really is. So let's get this building cracking. I'm going to bust the door down. And get an axe, and we're gonna bust this door on down. Look, and if a door is unlocked, sometimes you can't even unlock it. Now it doesn't look like it's a big fire. It looks like it might be on the roof there. I don't know if I can even get up onto the roof. I may need an actual vehicle with a ladder. Now I'm going to need a mask as well. Let's mask up and have a bit of a look inside the building. See if we can fix this. So we're going to grab an air pack, and I'm going to grab a extinguisher as well. Okay, yeah, so the entire roof of the building is on fire. If we don't have an upstairs way to get... Yeah, no, we can't. So unfortunately, the only way to fix this problem is to get myself a vehicle with a ladder, and then I can ladder up and put the fire out from the roof. So let's do that. We want a fire station 1. Tower ladder, this'll do. Whoa! Oh, what the hell? What? Bloody hell. So what happened was I spawned inside, the actual station itself hadn't spawned, and it looked like it was an open parking lot, and in the middle of driving this thing, the station spawned around me, and it's completely 86. This truck is now unusable. there's another bug for us. There's one I haven't had happen before. This truck's 86, just gone. So this is another thing too. Pop in of vehicles. I've got to get. Look at this. That's knackered. That's gone. I can't even use that. So let's I mean, it was a good thing this happened in the middle of the video, because that's the sort of thing. It's a once in a lifetime. So let's get rid of tower ladder, and we'll. Bloody hell. So that, I just basically did a swan dive through the roof of my own fire station. And as you can see, it happened so quick. The station spawned in around me, giving me absolutely no chance to do anything about it. So we're gonna bust on over to the city. So let's head on over there. Vehicles in the game, no damage at all. You can just plow through everything if you want. Kind of wrecks the immersion of the game when I can use my fire truck like a wrecking ball. Buildings pop in and out at random. It's very common to run into a rock or a tree because it just spawned in the last second. You've got no chance of being able to avoid it. And this is the thing with the game. Performance issues as well. Game has severe performance. It slows down. The game stops and starts. It seems to be, as you can see now, it's really kind of struggling. And now I have Playway's other games, as you know, the developer, they are friends of mine, and this is said with love. I think this is just a game that it needs more time. It needs more time in the oven. There's too many instability issues, items popping in and out. The tutorial in the game really is lacking, and it took me, basically I ended up finding the developers' YouTube videos and watching a bunch of other content creators trying to decipher this game before I had any chance. It took me hours to figure out the water system, and if I'm struggling this much, as someone who plays all of these simulation games, a new player is just going to be put off by it. Now also the quantity and the speed at which emergencies break out, it's almost impossible to kind of keep on top of them. They happen so rapidly that it's very easy to get yourself to a point where you're kind of behind the 8 ball, and because of the bugs in the game and losing my engine, I kind of am now got 3 emergencies I need to get to. I'm going to have to try and get up onto this building now. Going to try and bust out the ladder. Now, one of the other things too, sometimes you cannot access a fire engine without removing all of your equipment. Try and see if I can get this ladder to extend. Nope. Now, apparently you're supposed to stand right next to here. In the tutorial explains you're supposed to stand next to the ladder and you can extend it. It appears as I cannot do that. So I'm going to have to do this the ghetto way. I'm going to have to jump up on a dumpster, and hopefully that will do the trick. Who knows? Oh, there we go. kind of ridiculous I have to go to this length just to get onto the roof of this place. The other thing too, the ladder on this is non-functional. I'm kind of at the point where I'm probably going to just let this place burn down. You can do that. You can just give up and walk off. And this, I get that frustrated. That's precisely what I did. So let's open up 3, because I think that was 3. That you have to memorise the pump numbers too. Small discharge. Oh, no. Okay, it's discharge 2. No, and now it's not working. So now the pump is not working. Open discharge. Tank to pump. No idea. So now this isn't working. It seems that you cannot store water in this truck for whatever reason. Not able to do it. Utterly confused. So, I mean, this is kind of I think this is the problem that you've got. So, I mean, what we can do is just end the call. Give up. That this place is just doomed to burn down, and everybody's kind of stuffed. I mean, what can I do? There's not really much I can do at all. So, let's put everything back. We've accepted this place is going to burn down. There's nothing we can do. We're going to drive to the next emergency. So the other thing too is there isn't any sort of penalty for failing these calls. You can just drive up to every single call and just go, yep, end call, end call, end call. And the emergency will close. The building will magically stop burning. There's no scoring system to the game at the moment. And it would be really good to have some sort of reward system. Maybe you could earn money. I mean, Construction Simulator, which one of the best games that has been created in the simulation genre, had a full leveling system and had a reward system. As your company completed projects, you would get prestige. You would get a reputation, you would get money that you could spend on new machines. It would be great to have a vehicle purchase system. Maybe you have to maintain them as they get damaged. You had to pay for water, maybe. Things like, maybe that's probably too much, but at least having to manage the resources of your station, I think that's something that would really help in the game. It would be really helpful to have some lights that aren't emergency lights. Because at night it's very, very dark, and most of the time I can't see what I'm doing. I don't know if that's a barrier there. I think it is. It is. Let's try and get into this car park somehow. Hope they've got a fire hydrant, because again I have no way of storing water. Which means that I'm completely reliant on being close to a hydrant, or I'll probably have to get a tanker and use a tanker for it. Fill the tanker with water. But I mean, these fire engines do have water tanks. I know this. I have some friends, they're in the CFA, which is the Australian Firefighting Volunteer Service, and I can guarantee that all firefighting vehicles have tanks. The only difference is that obviously different vehicles have different tank sizes. Okay, and we're probably going to need a vehicle with a hose. Let me see if there is a hydrant over here. There's probably, it says there's one here. Okay, there's one right up there. So we're going to test the maximum length of our hose. It's actually pretty long. So, supply line. Okay, oh, I need a hydrant wrench too. Remove all tools, hydrant wrench. Let's go see what the max length of this thing is. It's a game of inches. Okay. Okay, for some reason that's not working, so let's go back and check. It should be the intake. Maybe I got the discharge. Again, when you're close to a fire, you should hear like a little bit, you know, the sound of burning embers. It's a supply line. I got it. Supply line. Boom. But this is exactly what I did last time. I connected the supply line up over here, and it's not. There's obviously enough room. Oh, I have no idea what I did differently, but okay, I seem to have lost my hydrant wrench. We'll go get another one. So the hydrant wrench must be a single-use thing. Once you use it, it's gone. Which seems a bit stupid. You can't reuse tools, but the other thing too, there's no limit on tools. You can just keep grabbing more out of the truck. It's an endless supply, a bottomless bucket of tools. You can leave stuff lying around. Game doesn't care. Okay, so hydrant wrench is now connected. I only hope I don't have to climb myself back up there, because I don't have a truck with a ladder, and we already worked out the ladder doesn't work. Okay, discharge 3. So now all we have to do is just have a look at the pumps. Pump panel and tank fill. And discharge. Let me just make sure. Discharge 3. So open discharge 3. And then we grab discharge 3 hose. And nothing. So now for the life of me, I have no idea why this is not working. I did the exact same thing we did last time. Discharge 3 is open. I'm going to open the hell out of that. Let's just tear this up. We've got it maxed out. Oh, there we go. You've got to absolutely max it to get any sort of water pressure. So I hope this has got the range needed to put this fire out, because if not, it might be a bit hard to get a vehicle with a ladder up in here. I don't even know if it's doing anything. Okay, so it appears there's no effect. Bit of a shame. I don't know what that visual effect is either, the black stripes. Okay, so nothing at all. Apparently we need a vehicle. Oh no, oh, finally. It just took a damn long time. It's taking a crazy amount of water. I'm probably going to need a ladder up to here. I'm going to try and see if I can... Let's go and have a look. So you need something to bust open the doors and see if we can have a look in here. I mean, I like the idea of the game. I think just the problem is that you've got... Let's get an axe. That's a bit more of a... Can I drop the hose at least? There doesn't seem to be any way to drop the hose, which means I need to go and take the hose back. Surely there's a way to do it. Drop hose, okay. Let's have a look in here. Nope, I don't seem to be able to do that. How the hell do you pick it up again? There we go. Yeah, there's literally no way. Oh no, here we go. Second floor, third floor. Got another fire going. Forest fire. So you need some oxygen masks next. Let's go and get those. You can hear the fire burning away on the top floor. Okay, and that ought to do the trick. Now I'm going to chuck on the mask once we get to the top floor. Now, it's moments like this that I like the game. This is kind of, you know, this is what it feels like to be a real firefighter. You're inside buildings. You're having to cut down doors with axes. You know, this is really what they should be focusing on, and I think it's kind of lost behind all of the other issues in the game, like, you know, the unhelpful water system that's very confusing and hard to kind of figure out. You've got, you know, a city this kind of feels dead, with no real life to it. There's no progression system in the game. It would be nice to get some sort of reward for going out and successfully completing calls. It's stuff like that the game really needs to make it feel alive. At the moment it just feels like a sandbox game, and that's not too bad if you're just wanting to play it with some mates, but I think, you know, to really enjoy this, I like role playing. I'd like to be, you know, the fire station manager in the station with my mates, you know, have Kel on the, you know, tearing around in the fire truck with his big axe, and, you know, getting the boys out there, and, you know, us tackling these levels together. And that's kind of the biggest issue with the game. One of the biggest issues is this game doesn't work multiplayer. The game boasts a multiplayer mode, but at the moment multiplayer doesn't work, and that's a real shame, because it's got this really good multiplayer focus, and the devs have said that the game's multiplayer, but it's region locked. So if you're not playing, if you're an Australian like me and you wanted to play with your buddies in America, it's not going to happen. You'd have to play with other Aussies, and Americans have to play with other Americans, and why you would region lock a multiplayer game? No idea. No idea. Oop, getting burnt. Stay back. I think we've nearly got this under control. I want to recommend this game, I really do, but in this current state, with all of the issues it's got, it's really hard. The other thing too, really, really dark in these buildings. You should have some floodlight you can use, like the flashlight just isn't strong enough. And we kind of got this just about. We've got this under control. Nearly out of juice, actually. I think that's it. Nope, we got more fire in here. Don't know how I'm going to get to it. I'll get this open. Let's get out of here. Getting burnt up. Getting crispified. Now I'm nearly out of air, so I'm going to wrap this fire up really quick, otherwise I'm not going to be able to get out. I think we've nearly got this, so we'll finish this up and get the hell out of here. No, I'm going to get trapped in here. So let's go get a fresh tank before I get trapped in here. Really rather not get trapped in, and I can just follow the hose back to safety. Go and get myself another tank of air. Get out just in time. I think we've nearly got this under control. Okay, fresh tank of air. We'll get back up there, follow the hose. I mean, if you imagine the fun that you could have with a few people playing this game, you know, playing it together, working as a team, and you know, taking out fires one by one. There's so. Whoop, I have got my mask on. What are you talking about? So saying smoke inhalation, But I've got... Oh, look at that. It's despawned my air tank. It's gone off me back. How's that? There's another bug in the game. So if you just go and get your air tank replaced... Let's go and do that again. So there you go. It actually took the... When I got upstairs, even though I'd gone down and got a new air tank, it's despawned it off my back. It was a full tank. I could see the indicator. It was full. Okay, let's just try that again. So this is the thing. I'm just finding bug... Look, okay, now I'm getting burnt. Can't even get to me, bloody... to me hose. So as I said, this has been a great bug finding session. We've found so many issues in the game, so many bugs, things getting despawned, buildings getting spawned on top of me, and all sorts of other problems. This is a really good opportunity for the developers and for Playway to go back and kind of triage these issues and figure out a way to fix this, to make the game a bit more of a friendly experience for players. I really think the biggest issue with the game at the moment is that it feels unfinished. There's so much in the game that needs work. The game needs better tutorials. It needs a way to help players, to guide them, rather than leaving people to just, trial and error. Trial and error, that's what most of this game is, and that's fine, but when you're dealing with a technical sort of game like this, it really puts people off. It does put people off. I like the way too that the hose, as you go back, it doesn't double back on itself. You just get this infinite length hose. Okay, let's just go check this next floor. Oh, maximum hose. Of course the maximum hose length reached, because the hose doesn't retract upon itself. So now I have to go back and grab... There's another issue, which is kind of a bit less. So let's get the hose again. Okay, let's go up and polish off this fire. I would go and get another mask, but we know that they can despawn, so I'm just going to use what oxygen I've got and hope it's enough. Okay, we've got the... No, it's not on this floor. So I've done this third floor. I think it's on the second. It sounds close. That must be on the third floor. Okay, we'll go up to the next floor. Ah, here we go. A little bit I missed. Ah, there we go. And we've finally got the entire area under control. We've averted a giant building fire. We've taken out a few other emergencies, and I guess we'll head over to one more. Okay, so we've got everything under control. I think it's time to head over to one more emergency. But what are my overall thoughts on this game? Well, it's unfinished. There's too much in the game to do. The game needs a better tutorial. It does have a tutorial. It's very, very vague. We've got one just up ahead. The game world feels empty. There's no consequences for running over anything. You can barrel through cars. There's no damage system to your vehicle. The firefighting mechanics are very complex, and there's very little in the way of a guide to figure them out. Some of them, I believe, feel broken, as if there doesn't seem to be the ability to store water in these regular fire trucks. And if you're not near and this is why I picked this particular fire here, without a hydrant nearby, I don't have any way of fighting this fire. And I'm going to have to do it, well, there's a few different ways we can do this, but so let's grab the pump. And I already know it's not going to work, but I did try filling the tank on this, and it does have a tank, but for whatever reason, it doesn't work. Oop, that's a large discharge, so let's get rid of that. And so we've got the small discharge, and we know this works because I was using it before. So pump panel, connections, discharge 2. So if we go to discharge 2 and we open it, now it's open. I know I'm not connected to a hydrant, but you would assume that I have filled the tank enough to at least be able to use some water. Oh, and it seems to be working now. Well, there you go. Miracles do happen. But it's a very, very complex system, and I like complexity. Don't get me wrong. I do like the ability to be able to be challenged and to not have your hand held. But to me, it seems like this is... We're going to run out of water, of course, with the tiny tank we've got. See how we go. Now I want to show you something else in the game. You'll notice I was taking fire damage before. These trees, no fire damage. I'm literally standing in the middle of a flame. Nothing at all. So fires in the game, some of them hurt you. Other ones, I mean, this is just a decal. It doesn't seem to do any damage to me at all. I can stand right up in the flame. Doesn't matter. Let's get this wrapped up. We'll put these trees out. Now some of these can't be put out. I found sometimes this tree doesn't seem to want to... Oh, there we go, finally. You can also cut the tree down. I'm going to leave that last tree burning to demonstrate this. If I drop this, and this tree's on fire, I could put it out like the others, but what I can also do, walk up literally right into the middle of the flame, cut the tree down, and it does the same thing. It still puts a tree out. They'll go out in a second. Now I just have to cut down the rest of these trees, and this will be under control. As you can see, the hose doesn't double back on itself. so it's very easy to hit the maximum length very quickly. Now, it's got a pretty high maximum length, but it's also one of those frustrating things you can't just pick the hose up and move it back with you. The only way to... There's also no way to retract the hose. Like, to be able to wind the hose back up would be really good if you had another player. But of course, we know that won't happen because the game's region locked, so I can't play with any of the guys I usually stream with. Because I was talking about this game to Cal and the boys, and they were really on board for playing this cooperatively, and it's a real shame we won't be able to. So, yeah, I mean, this... I'm actually covering some of the other Playway games, and they are definitely a different breed to this. But at the moment, my final thoughts on the game are to probably have a look at some of the other Playway games. This just doesn't have the level of polish that I would expect from a simulation game. It's a bit disappointing. I really wanted to recommend this game, but at the moment it's it just doesn't have that level of polish yet, and it's a real shame because the concept of a firefighting game, a firefighting management game, is really interesting to me and something that I was naturally on board for. A final bug in the game, you can see that we've cut down all of the trees and the mission is still ongoing. So we've got an emergency with the forest fire. The forest fire is under control, categorically. You can see here I've put out every single tree. If we look around, there's no fire, no trees. That's another reason why I picked this event. Some events, like the forest fire event, do not clear. There is no way to clear these. So what you have to do is go into here and remove it manually, which kind of defeats the purpose of going to these calls, and it does break the immersion. There we go. So I mean that's literally the only way the forest fire event can be finished, which is a shame. But this is it. There's a lot of bugs in this game. There's a lot of issues that need to be fixed. The game feels unfinished at the moment, and if I had to recommend something, I'd recommend Playway's other games, and we're going to be covering more soon. And I think that with a bit of time and effort, this game could be optimized and a lot of these issues could be fixed. But right now, I'd probably give this a miss in favor of their other games. So stay tuned. I've got more of their games coming up. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and it gave you an idea of whether you want to pick this one up. I will have more games, more recommendations coming. So stay tuned and hopefully you'll join me next time when we cover another indie game. Until then, Skill Incarnate, out.